Oh, there it goes. Through material delivery, on-the-go programming, mobile technology, and community partnerships, mobile services brings the library directly to the greater community. What does that mean for you guys? That means that we are emphasizing bringing WNPL, the library, out to the community. And that's WNPL and everything it offers, including traditional materials, non-traditional materials, crafts, programming, book clubs, and a whole lot more. Mobile service is emphasizing reaching those who have difficulty coming to the library, including but not limited to those who have the following barriers: geographic barriers, economic barriers, physical barriers, and then language and educational barriers. So that is a little summary of what mobile services is. But what do we offer? What does mobile services at WNPL offer? Currently, we have 2 vehicles in our mobile services fleet. We have the large blue bus, the Bookmobile, and we also have a transit van. We use these 2 vehicles to do most of our programming and events that you'll see us around the community in. Mobile services currently offers the following services, in case you were curious. We have early learning services for preschools and child care centers. These really emphasize early literacy visits for the little kids and preschoolers. We have school services for elementary, middle, and high schools. Those are really going to kick off again starting in the fall when the schools reopen for the new school year. We have doorstep delivery for patrons who have difficulty obtaining library materials. Doorstep delivery was at one point called homebound delivery. However, we've changed it a little bit, and with the new name, there's also new things that people can do with doorstep delivery. For example, people can use it for a more variety of reasons. You no longer have to be necessarily homebound to be accepted for doorstep delivery. People who recently had surgery and might be off their feet for a little while, new mothers, those who have mobility issues, patrons with vision issues, and many more can apply for the doorstep delivery service and receive said service. So it's a revamped service that we're looking to promote. So definitely check it out. I'll show you where you can look at it on the website later. We have senior services, which are for residents of retirement, assisted living, and memory care communities. These are communal residences, so they're private events for seniors that live in these communal residences. And then, of course, we have a remote return site, which is located on the corner of Hunt Club Road and Dada Drive. You guys are also here, though, to find out what we're offering in the future. And the 3 big things that we're going to be offering starting in the fall will be community stops for the WNPL district, and then programming, both private and public programming. And then CCS. CCS is a consortium that WNPL will be joining, which is going to open new options for patrons on materials that they can borrow, both from the main library and the Bookmobile. And there'll be more information on that soon as we slowly integrate into that new consortium. So, going off of community stops. Before you is a map of the WNPL districts. As you can see, there is a lot of gray circles and blue circles. All of the circles represent both patron and non-patron households. The blue is patrons, gray are non-patrons. And if you look right over here to the bottom right corner, there's a little red dot, and that's WNPL itself, the library. That's where we're located within our district. This map is provided by Gale Analytics, which is a software that we have used heavily to do a lot of research on our district, the patrons that live within our district, and where we should go to serve the community best. This map is a full map with no parameters set. This is everyone within our district borders. The next map you see here, also provided with Gale Analytics, is a map that highlights patrons and non-patrons. Again, blue dots are patrons, gray dots are non-patrons. The red dot is Warren-Newport Public Library. And this represents patrons and non-patrons with high-level barriers. Again, looking back at those barriers that I mentioned on the previous page, we have geographic barriers, economic barriers, physical barriers, also language and educational barriers, to name a few. There are others as well. You'll notice the map looks significantly different. I'll flip back to the other one real fast. That's the full map. And this is the one with high-level barriers. Similar locations, however, this allows us to pinpoint locations a little bit more accurately on where we should be as a mobile services department and as the library. This map highlights areas of traditionally underserved populations within our district, especially pertaining to those with the barriers that I mentioned before. So what does that mean for community stops? Our new community stops, these are going to roll out in the fall, starting late August, early September. If you look at the left side of your screen, we have a still image of a collaborative map that I will show you in a little bit on our website. All the stops are color-coded. We are going to be running on a ABC schedule. So the Bookmobile will come back to each stop every 3 weeks. Week A are all the blue pinpoints. Week B is the orange pinpoints. Week C is the green pinpoints. You'll notice that we spread out to all corners of our district. We try to encompass all areas of the district, and we focused on 2/3 of the stops roughly having barriers or patrons / non-patrons with barriers at these locations, and then 1/3 of the stops focused heavily on just population density overall. We try to mix and match the weeks of the stop, so if you look at the map, you'll notice that we're at similar points of the district on different weeks. So if you miss a stop on, let's say, week A, we might be back in a similar area on either week B or C to give you a chance to catch us out in the district. If you look at this will be on our website, and I will show you it in a second. We have new times. So we will have 2 stops every Tuesday night, Thursday night, and then 2 stops on Saturday during the day. We picked these times to try to help out the community to the best of our ability. If you notice, the stops in the evenings will run from 5:30 to 6:30. And then there's a little break to let us get to the next stop in the district. And then we'll be at the second stop for the evening from 7 to 8 p.m. This will hopefully allow people to have time to get home from work and also home from school, practices, clubs, anything else that they might be busy with, and give us a time to see them in the evening before the library closes. On Saturdays, we picked the mornings due to the high volume of children that tend to visit parks and these locations in the morning. And we wanted to get 2 stops in before both the heat of the day and also lunch hour, especially for little kids that might be using the Bookmobile and need to have lunch. So I will leave this up for a second so you can take a look at it. We have all the locations here and the addresses, and then of course the list of dates. The dates you will notice, we have 5 dates. community stops, well, each stop will have 5 visits for each stop before the winter holidays. And then after the winter holidays until summer, there will be 5 more stops. And then summer will have its own schedule, but we will get to that once we get to the summer months or closer to them. So I'll show you this again on our website here in a second. Our next page is mobile services information overall and where you can find it. So there's multiple ways you guys can contact us. You can call WNPL at 1-847-244-5150 at extension 6. You will find a page about mobile services in the Inside Angle, our newsletter that gets released quarterly. There's always the chat option on our website at www.wnpl.info. And on said website, we also have an email that you can ask us questions at, and it's askus@wnpl.info. That's the email address. So to continue, the most easy way for you to find us will be through our website, again, www.wnpl.info. And I'm going to switch over to that page. So you should now be looking at our homepage for our website. There are 2 places that you can find mobile services. The first place is if you go to the top right corner under popular links, you will see a Bookmobile page. If we click on that link, you will come to our Bookmobile schedule. This has all of our community stops. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see all those stops I had on the slideshow before, all of the addresses, times, dates, locations, also a schedule of off-road, of when the Bookmobile will be off-road for regularly scheduled maintenance. The cool thing about this page is we have an interactive map here. You can zoom in and out of the map, and you can click on each individual drop to give more information about that stop. It will tell you the park, the day of the stop, what week it's on, whether it's week A, B, or C, the time, the address, and all the dates. And each one of these stops has that. So you can click that at will as you're looking. You can also click right up here on our calendar. And if you go over here to calendar view, you can check out all the events that we have going on. So in the month of June, we have a couple of neighborhood nights planned on Wednesdays. And we have some outdoor story times for the little kids on Thursdays. So I'm just going to click on neighborhood nights to give you an example. This will be tomorrow night. The Bookmobile will be at Eau Plaine Community Park. You can add it to your calendar. If you click on it, it gives you all of these options. So whichever option you prefer, you can click on, and it'll add directly to your calendar. You can also click on the directions button, which will pull up Google Maps and allow you to input your current address or location to show you how to get to the park if you're not familiar with it, or any other location that you might be at. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go to our heading right here. And in the heading, you'll see a new heading that says in the community. When you hover over it, there's a drop-down menu with a bunch of options. The one that we're on currently is the Bookmobile option, which again, you can find in the popular links section as well. The first option I'll show you is our landing page for mobile services. We will put information about mobile services on this page. You'll notice that we saw some of this information on the website, or on the PowerPoint I just shared with you. Sorry. And there's also a link to the calendar here as well. So it's on both pages, so it's easy for you to access. Each of these links, each of these services is a link directly to its own page. So you can click on it to shortcut it, or you can go back up to the drop-down menu to look at them. We will also add all of our special events for the next quarter on this page. You'll notice we have neighborhood nights, which I had just mentioned, outdoor story times, we have an art in the park program, an ice cream in the park program, and so on. So feel free to check this out. If you're ever interested in partnering with us, we have a form on the bottom that you can fill out, and one of our mobile services members will receive the form and will contact you about it. So just as a reminder, services are provided based on community need, library priorities, and the availability of staff and resources. So this is our landing page. We also have pages for early learning services. Again, these are primarily for early literacy visits at daycares and preschools. They have a variety of things that we offer with these services. So if you work at one of those daycares or preschools and we don't already reach out to you, feel free to fill out an application on the bottom. The next one is school services. Again, these are for services directly to the schools within the WNPL district. We have a whole list of those right here for you. And if you work at one of those schools or want our services, please connect with one of us through this application right down here. The next one that I'm going to show you guys is senior services. Just as a reminder, these are private stops for communal residences. We do offer lobby stops at these residences and deposit collections at them. They are a new service that we've been offering since February, and they've been going quite well. If you ever want any more information on them, feel free to look at this page. Again, there's an application if you need to contact us about it. The next service, which I touched on earlier, is doorstep delivery. Again, doorstep delivery used to be homebound delivery. We have opened it up for more patrons. It is now doorstep delivery for patrons who have difficulty obtaining library materials. It is a free service available for district residents of all ages. Again, fill out this form. Give us a call at Mobile Services Department, and a staff member will contact you to make arrangements to get you set up for doorstep delivery. This can be a temporary service. It can be a long-term service. We will work with you in bringing the library to your doorstep. And the last link on this drop-down menu is the outreach event application. We always welcome opportunities to connect patrons with library services. If you have an organization that's interested in having the library at your upcoming event, you can fill out this application. They do need to be submitted a minimum of 30 days prior to the date of the event. So feel free to look at this whenever you have time, and we will receive this application, get in touch with you as soon as possible. So that is our website, our updated website. Again, we tried to make it nice and easy for you to find all of our services, easy links to follow. The one that is most pertaining to the calendar and community stops will be under in the community at Bookmobile, or again, under popular links under Bookmobile. I'll be right here on this page with the interactive map and a list of all of our locations. So with that, that is the end of our presentation. We are going to answer questions from the chat now, both myself, Ryan, and Rebecca, and then we'll open up the floor after we get to those questions for any verbal questions that you guys might have.
Hey, Scott, Ryan here. We do have some questions coming into the chat. I think I addressed the first one about the phone system. We replaced some network switches and that created some temporary phone issues. I think we resolved the vast majority of them, but by the end of the week, we should have those completely fixed. So, but there's still the message when you call the library saying we are experiencing issues. Let's see, next question. Can you put holds for the bookmobile? I know the answer is yes. Scott, do you want to elaborate on that, or?
Yes, we will be able to have holds on the bookmobile. If you are a former bookmobile patron, it will work a little differently than it did before. With us joining the consortium, which I mentioned in our presentation, we're going to have access to a whole lot more materials. So if you put items on hold, you will have 1 week after the hold triggers, just like you would at the main library, to pick up the item. So if you choose Bookmobile as the location, we will carry your hold on the Bookmobile for that whole week. And you can pick it up from any stop that we go to at that week. If you choose not to pick it up or are unable to for some reason, it would then go back into circulation and you would have to re-hold it.
All right, Scott, next question. Will the community stops be evaluated at some point? I'll let you elaborate, but the answer is yes. The plan is to evaluate these on an annual basis. So yes, this is not set in stone. This is something that we will continue to look at. So Scott, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes. So our initial stops that we've picked are stops that we did based on a lot of analytical data and looking at the community and talking to multiple groups within the community. We will evaluate these stops on a yearly basis. Not every stop will work. There will be changes. So if a stop is not functioning the way we want it to, or we thought it would, we will change that stop to another location that will hopefully better serve the community. Again, this will be done on a yearly basis for all the stops.
Okay, next question. What types of services are available to schools in the library district? And this is probably a good question for Scott, for you to answer, maybe Rebecca to add to it, because I think when it comes to service to schools, it's not only our mobile services department, but our youth services department as well.
Yes, I'll start off, but if Rebecca wants to add anything to it, that'd be great. This will be a collaborative effort between mobile services and youth services to reach out to many schools. There are some programs that are already in the works, such as a teen book club at the Allman campus for Warren High School. There's many other services that we're looking at implementing with the schools. There's still a work in progress, but between youth services and mobile services, I know we're looking to add different ways to provide for the schools or have a library presence within the schools.
Add a little bit to that. So youth services always goes into various classrooms on request, and we'll do database training, open it up to let the teachers and the kids know how to access our materials using an institutional card. So all of the schools within our district can apply to get a library card to have access to our materials in their classroom. And then we show them exactly how to access them and how to utilize those resources as well.
Next question. We were told high-use Bookmobile stops would return. We don't have a Bookmobile anywhere within walking distance to our family anymore. So Scott, do you want to talk more about maybe elaborate on the process for establishing these stops? Because one of the things that is challenging for us, we serve 55 square miles. We serve 67,000 people, and we know that we knew this wasn't going to please everybody. So can we talk a little bit about maybe the criteria to address that question?
Yes, so Bookmobile stops, I know it would be ideal to be able to deliver directly to everyone. But as Ryan said, we do have a really large district. A large district with a large number of people within it. I did show you two maps, and that was from software that we put a lot of emphasis into in researching and analyzing what our district is made up of, both people wise, their backgrounds, any barriers they may have, population density, distance to the library, geographic barriers such as large highways, difficult roads to get to the library, or just the fact that they're so far away they might be closer to another library. So we take all of this data and analyze this data to come up with the 18 stops that we did. Again, we try to go to both 1/3 of them to high population density areas. The other 2/3 focused more on non-traditional patrons or patrons that may have difficulty getting to the library. Again, I would like to highlight, though, the Bookmobile might not be within walking distance to everyone's family anymore. However, we did try to make stops spread out throughout the community in heavily populated areas, so that if it wasn't walkable, it was a very short drive to those Bookmobile stops versus having to come all the way across town to the main library. So again, it won't be ideal or necessarily perfect for everyone, but the idea is to make it a little easier for more people within the community to have access to Warren-Newport services. Hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, and let's squeeze in two more because we got another one. It's a good question. I think we can address. So I wonder where they put stops at Ravinia Park and Vineyard Park, which are only 0.8 miles away, but yet all the patrons of Brookside, Grantwood Park, Bridlewood, and Mill Creek Crossing have to cross the highway in order to use a Bookmobile.
Yeah, of course. That's a good question. So Peter, first, I just want to remind you, we do have 2 stops in the Grantwood Park area. So don't forget about those 2 stops.
Hey, Scott, can you want to talk about where, because the second question I wanted to squeeze in was that there were 2 stops, but didn't see anything. Do you want to point out where those are? Maybe share your screen.
So for Peter's question, I believe you were looking at this stop and this stop, Vineyard and Ravinia. Before I get to those stops, I just want to remind everyone that we have in Grantwood Park 2 stops, one over here off of Streamwood Drive, and another one a little closer to this neighborhood right over here at Unity Park, which is a field off of Geyer Road. I apologize if I butchered that name. So we do have 2 stops in the Grantwood area, which are north of Grand. So therefore you wouldn't have to cross Grand, hopefully, if that is a concern. So we do have 2 stops. They're on 2 different weeks. This one's on week A and this one's on week B. And the reason why I mentioned the weeks is to answer your question, Peter. Vineyard and Ravinia Park, though close, if you notice, they're in very heavily populated areas of our district, and they're also on the farthest west side of our district. You'll also notice that they are on 2 different weeks. So the reason why we have 2 stops close together, these are very densely populated areas. But let's say you live closer to Ravinia Park on week B and you miss your week. You just can't make it. Something happens, life happens, you can't make it to your stop. We have a stop in a similar area but on week C on Thursday evening. So if you're not able to get to the Bookmobile on week B, you have an option that's not too far away for week C. Otherwise, you'd have to wait 3 weeks for us to come back to your stop or come all the way across town to the main library. So that is our reasoning for that. And hopefully that answers your question there.
Thanks, Scott, for that overview. So let me just take this opportunity. I want to thank everyone for coming this evening, and my email is in the chat. Scott, do you want to put your email in the chat too? So
Oh yes, let me do it.
Yeah.
More than happy.
I guess I could have done that as well. But anyway, so if you do have any follow-up questions, Rebecca put hers in the chat as well. Comments, please share them with us.